back. Today we are cooking our recipe of our perfect white bread that is on the back of our flour. And I'm telling you, it's super simple. Anyone, you do not have to have any experience in bread making. It is so delicious. We're making cinnamon bread, but we are using this easy recipe on the back of our flour bag right here. And I'm gonna walk you through step by step on how to make it today. So we are going to start with, I measured 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. Now you want it lukewarm. Do not be too hot because it'll kill your yeast, and don't be too cold. So lukewarm water, and then I'm gonna take 2, if you have instant yeast, you wanna just use 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. There's 1, 2. Now, if you just have regular yeast, there is a recipe that you add, I believe it calls for like 1 tablespoon of active yeast, but ours is instant. Now on the back, it says a little bit different, that you do not have to do it this way, but this is a sure way of making sure that your yeast is still good and is gonna work for your bread. So to that, you wanna add sugar, because sugar helps it activate. So I measured out 2 tablespoons of sugar, and you wanna add that in there with the yeast in the warm water, and then you want to give it a stir to kind of break the clumps up, and then you let it sit for like just even a couple of minutes. Now, if it's regular yeast, you might have to wait for 5 or 10 minutes, but as you sit and watch this, it will start to activate and have bubbles in it. So this is what you're looking for. See all that foam on top? It means that your yeast is growing and ready to go. So I'm gonna take this mixture and add it into my KitchenAid. And for this process, I am using a dough hook, and I'll explain why. So to that, I'm gonna add, I believe it's a teaspoon of salt, and I like to add that in before the flour so that there is no pocket of just all salt. But there's no way there could be, but I like it to be able to dissolve in that warm water. Then I'm going to start out with 1 cup of flour, and then I'm gonna start to mix that. And I'll show you the process of what it should look like before you start adding more. Because the worst thing you can do for bread is to add too much flour, because you can't take that back. So I'm going to start with probably a 1/2 cup. And my scoops, this is a 1/4 of cup scoop. So I'm gonna put a 1/2 cup in, and then I'm gonna turn it on and let it mix. So I'm just gonna keep adding a 1/2 cup at a time. It calls for 2, I believe it's 2 3/4 cup of flour. As you can see, the sides of the bowl still have a little bit of sticky dough on them. And what you're looking for is you're looking for it to be completely pulled off of the sides, and it will look like a clean bowl when it has enough flour. So it's still a little bit too sticky, and so I'm just gonna add probably just a little bit more, like probably a 1/2 because I don't want to add too much, and I'll show you how it pulls away from the sides when it's perfectly ready. This is the perfect texture. You want a little bit of tackiness to it, because now we are going to let the mixer do the kneading, and that is the most amazing part of this. Hi, Joel. So I'm gonna put it back in the mixer with the dough hook, and I'm gonna let it knead for 15 minutes. But sometimes I cut it short at 10, and it still does the trick. So I'm gonna turn it on, and it says to knead it with the mixer for like 15 minutes on a, I believe it says medium speed. Now that it's been, I stopped it at 13 minutes because I kind of kneaded it during the process of adding the flour. So this is what it is going to look like. Super simple to pull off and pull out of your bowl. And this texture is just like divine. It's super perfect, and you're gonna have a beautiful loaf of bread. So I oiled my bowl that I'm gonna put this into, and I'm gonna let it rise till it doubles in size. I let it double in size, and I lightly floured my surface. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to lightly push this out, because it's gotta rise the second time, and I wanna add those cinnamon chips. So I like to get my cinnamon chips at Orson Gigi, but I know grocery stores sell them too. And this is so simple. So basically, these are mini cinnamon chips from Orson Gigi. You can order them online, and I love them. They can be put in cookies, breads, and a lot of different things. So basically, I flatten that out with my hands, and then I just put as many as you want or as little as you want. And I just put them around. And then I'm going to roll it up, and then I'm going to cook it in my Staub pan. And so I'm gonna make a round loaf. But after you raise it a second time, I'm gonna put it on parchment to do that, and I'm gonna put it in my pan. But if you don't wanna do that, you can raise it on parchment or in a bowl. Just make sure you put parchment under it so that it can rise, and then you can put it straight into the oven. But I'm gonna do mine a little bit different. So I made a circle out of that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create tension by pushing and pulling, and that is basically all you need to do. And so you can take it, and all you will do to bake it is you'll take your parchment paper, and you'll carefully put it on that cookie sheet to bake. And then you just bake it at 350 in the oven for like 20 minutes. So that way, I do a lot of my breads in cast iron, but for a beginner and for all, time purposes, to make it easy, I would do it on a cookie sheet. If you want to do it in a Dutch oven, I heat this up for like 20 minutes in a 350 oven, and then I just pull the parchment. I do the same steps that I just did, and I will lift this into the hot cast iron pan to cook with the lid on for half the time, then lid off. And so that is basically, and what you'll get at the end, if you're cooking it in a Dutch oven, this is what it will look like in the end. Let me get a knife, and I will cut it and show you what the inside looks like. Anyway, so let me show you what the inside looks like. Look at all those cinnamon pockets, and oh my gosh, it smells so good. So make sure and try this and let me know what you think. Super simple, and it will impress any guest that you have in your home. So make sure you like and subscribe. Bye. Bring the butter. Oh my gosh. Toast this in a toaster oven. Eat it plain, eat it warm, eat it all day long. You're gonna love it.